What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Good evening, Dan Delmar and Justine McIntyre in for Aaron this week. That sound means it's time for James MENNIE of the Montreal Gazette. Hello, James.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
Good.
Well, we're getting through a very, very busy, atypical, supposedly July doldrums week, which is just chock-a-block with news every day. Not that I'm complaining.
So much news. I think we should start down south. Biden, the rumors are coming out in every which direction. Obama, Pelosi, everyone's trying to convince him to change his mind.
When I saw the news last night about Biden being diagnosed with COVID, my gut just told me that, as we say in these parts, the table's being set for him to go, and on his terms. I think he's fed up. I think he's a veteran politician. When he is being consistently and relentlessly undermined by his own side, I think at the age of 81. I'm sure he does have COVID, but I don't think he needs it. I think he realized, he had to step up in his first term, and I really do believe that his belief that he's the guy to beat Trump is fundamentally correct. Because if Joe Biden were to go tomorrow, I would love to see who the Democrats are going to trot out to replace them, and who has a hope in hell of beating Donald Trump. I really get the impression, guys, especially over the past 10 days, between the so-called leaks in the Democratic Party, it looks like the Democrats are beginning to suffer from what I like to refer to as NDP syndrome, which is it's a lot easier to sit back in opposition and point the finger and complain and criticize rather than govern. But I have to tell you, I remember when Roe versus Wade was overturned, I remember, I was told that the country will erupt. The Republicans will never live this down. This will dog them every single day to the next election. Did I miss that, guys? Because it seems like it didn't happen. It seems like it's a blip now. And it seems, quite frankly, that Donald Trump's return to the White House is all but inevitable.
James MENNIE, I've been looking at the photos online of Mark Miller's office. It looks pretty bad, to be honest with you, worse than I expected. And as we see those images coming out of the vandalism that happened today, we have Marco Mendocino, who's looking for more security for MPs.
Well, and indeed for their offices. Were you able to see some of the pictures taken inside of his office?
No, I just saw the pictures outside, but I saw that they'd broken right in, yeah.
No, they broke right in, and they were as thorough inside as that. And as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not trying to, over dramatize the situation, but this is an attack on democracy. This is a very clear message. I know there are some pro-Palestinian groups that are claiming responsibility for this, saying this, the struggle will not end. But the message I think that was put out was clear. We disagree with your policies. We're not going to protest. We will protest, but we'll go more than that. We're going to intimidate you. We're going to go in. We're going to trash your offices for now. What's the next step? And I think that's where Mendocino is going, that we are living in increasingly violent, unreasonable times, and better safe than sorry. And I, as a Canadian, I would have absolutely no problem with there being a second set of penalties, a second set of rules protecting people who decide to step up and run for public office. There are so many angles now for someone to be attacked, personally, professionally. It's gotten completely out of hand. And I'm telling you, something has to be done, because in the end, nobody who is qualified, nobody who is motivated, I can't think of anyone being motivated to get into this kind of a life, having to look over your shoulder. So the fact that this happened to Miller's office today, to me, should be a very, very strong message to not just this fin de regime government of Justin Trudeau, but also, I think, to the Canadian establishment that, it is time somebody stepped up and did something about this, because the direction that this situation is headed is certainly wrong, and I see nothing to indicate that things are going to get any better.
I just want to push back a bit on the added measure of safe zones or bubble zones, I think it's been referred to as by Anthony Housefather or Marco Mendicino also making similar proposals. The internet and radicalization is affecting us in many different ways. Media, journalists, public commentators, entrepreneurs, anyone with a public figure, anyone who happens to go viral that day. These are people that do face a lot of hate and even violence or intimidation. I'm not sure politicians are special in that regard, and I'm not sure we could impose any other fine or jail time or whatever that would really dissuade anyone from doing this. I think we have deeper problems.
Well, if you want to have a one-size-fits-all approach, Dan, that's fine. But the fact is, if you're a radio commentator and someone doesn't like what you say, it's not that hard to track people down these days. And if someone puts a shotgun blast through your window, I don't know. Do you think that'll be enough, or do you think that it's time that kind of feeling of license, that kind of feeling of entitlement that you can go. And remember, Mendicino is asking for this a month after some guy walked up to him and just spit in his face because he didn't agree with his policies. I mean, that's where we are. And I'm very sorry to look at this as, this constant level playing field and no, everything should be equal. Things aren't equal. Politicians, particularly women, are leaving public service in droves simply because a climate of hate, intimidation, and bullying has been created. And I'm sorry. I think that's an extraordinary situation, as you're quite rightly say, created by the internet. And I think extraordinary measures are required for it. It's not for every single case, but I think in this instance, if you want to get people to sort of have trust in the democratic system, you shouldn't have to turn around and say, well, gee, I want to step up and serve the public, but I also have to deal with the fact that they're looking over my shoulder for 4 years. I don't think that's a very good picture to be putting out to the public.
Fair enough. Quick thoughts on Seamus O'Regan. So he's leaving cabinet and not running again.
Did you see the look on Bill Blair's face when he got scrummed on it?
No.
He looked like he was totally gobsmacked. And indeed, the first thing the reporter says, well, do you get the impression this is people leaving a sinking ship? Even if it isn't, and Mr. O'Regan has said he wants to be a better parent, a better spouse, a better uncle, and so on. In other words, more time with my family. You cannot shake, this government cannot shake this relentless fin de regime pall that is hovering over it. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I have a sneaking suspicion, even between now and Labor Day, we're going to discover a few more party stalwarts who have discovered they're not spending enough time with their families.
Yeah, indeed. I think there'll be more than a couple in the coming months. Thanks, James. See you tomorrow.
Adam.